She was ranked 1,180 in the world, and now she's 31. Let that sink in for a second. In just a few short years, Alexandra Eala has gone from being a name only hardcore junior tennis fans recognized to becoming one of the most talked about rising stars on the entire WTA Tour. And here's the part that makes this even more unbelievable. She hasn't even won a WTA title, WTA. So how does a 20-year-old without a trophy suddenly look like one of the most dangerous players heading into Indian Wells? That's what we're breaking down today, because this isn't just a ranking story. This is a momentum story. This is a belief story. And it might be the beginning of something much bigger than any of us expected. If you've been following Alexandra Eala closely, you already know this rise didn't happen overnight. But when you actually look at the numbers year by year, it almost feels unreal. Back in 2020, her highest ranking was 1,180. Think about that. Outside the top 1,000, practically invisible in the global tennis conversation, she was grinding through smaller events, building experience, learning the physical and mental demands of the Pro Tour. Then came 2021. She jumped to 505 in the world. That's not a normal climb. That's a statement. That's a young player saying, I belong here. But she didn't stop to 2022. She climbed again to 214. In 2023, 189. In 2024, she peaked at 143. By 2025, she cracked the top 50. And now in 2026, she's sitting at a career-high ranking of 31. From 1,180 to 31. That's not steady progress. That's a rocket launch. And here's what makes it even more impressive. She's done this without a WTA title. No flashy trophy moment. No breakthrough final lifting a big silver cup. Just consistency, fearless tennis, and a belief that she can hang with the very best. Now let's talk about 2026, because this is where things start to get really interesting. She's already played 6 tournaments this season, 10 wins, 6 losses. That might not scream domination at first glance, but context matters. She's playing deeper draws. She's facing higher-ranked opponents consistently. She's not sneaking up on anyone anymore. She's being targeted. And yet she's still climbing. Across her entire WTA career so far, she's racked up 204 wins to 124 losses. That's a serious sample size for a 20-year-old. And she's already earned over $1.6 million in prize money. But if you ask me, the money and the numbers aren't the real headline. The real headline is belief. Because we've seen this before in tennis. A young player starts building quietly. They improve their rankings step by step. They gain confidence with each upset. Then suddenly, the breakthrough isn't a surprise anymore. It's inevitable. And that brings us to Indian Wells. This will be her debut at one of the biggest WTA 1000 events on the calendar. The desert, the pressure, the spotlight, the massive stadiums. For many players, that environment can feel overwhelming. But here's the thing about Alexandra Eala. She doesn't play scared. And if you need proof, just rewind to Miami. At the Miami Open, she truly introduced herself to the tennis world. This wasn't just a solid tournament run. This was a statement tour through elite territory. She beat Jelena Ostapenko, a former Grand Slam champion known for her explosive power. She beat Madison Keys, another Grand Slam champion with one of the biggest forehands in the sport. And then she did something that made everyone sit up straight. She beat Iga Swiatek. Yes, that Iga Swiatek, a dominant force, a multiple Grand Slam champion, a player who dictates rallies and overwhelms opponents with intensity and precision. Eala didn't flinch. She took the ball early. She redirected pace. She stayed composed, and she believed. That Miami semifinal run ended with a loss to Jessica Pegula, but by then, the message had already been sent. Alexandra Eala wasn't just a promising junior anymore, she was dangerous. Now as she heads into Indian Wells, the stakes feel different. The ranking is higher. The expectations are louder. She's no longer the underdog who surprises people. She's the rising star people are studying. And this is where the next chapter gets fascinating. Because let's be honest, the one area of her game that still needs sharpening is her serve. At times, it can leak double faults. At times it doesn't generate enough free points. Against the top 5 players in the world, that matters. If she can add even 5% more consistency and power to that serve, her ceiling changes dramatically. And when you look at the prize money and ranking points available at Indian Wells, the opportunity becomes massive. A first-round appearance earns 10 ranking points and over $24,000. But if she reaches the third round, that's 65 points. A fourth-round run, 120 points. A quarterfinal, 215. A title would bring 1,000 ranking points and over $1.1 million. Now, is she the favorite? No. But here's the twist. She doesn't need to win the title to shake the tour again. If she makes another deep run at a WTA 1000 event, the top 20 conversation becomes real. Very real. And that's where I want to open this up to you. Do you believe Alexandra Eala's breakthrough title happens in 2026? Or do you think she needs one more season to fully mature her game? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is the kind of moment where fan belief actually feels electric. Back to the story. There's something different about players who rise from outside the top 1,000. They remember the grind, the empty courts, the small crowds, the qualifying rounds. That hunger doesn't disappear, and Eala carries that hunger every time she steps onto a big stage. She's also carrying something bigger than herself. She's representing the Philippines in a way we haven't seen consistently at this level in modern women's tennis. That kind of national pride adds fuel, and Indian Wells is known for passionate crowds. If she strings together a couple of wins early, that stadium could turn into a wave of support. Momentum in tennis is strange. It's not always about ranking, it's about timing. Right now, her timing feels perfect. She's 20, physically improving, mentally tougher, battle-tested against champions, sitting at a career-high ranking of 31, not defending massive points, playing with freedom. That's a dangerous combination, and here's the curiosity gap that I can't stop thinking about. What if Indian Wells isn't the breakthrough? What if it's Miami again? Remember, it was Miami where she shocked 3 Grand Slam champions. Indian Wells comes just before it on the calendar. Imagine she uses Indian Wells as a springboard, builds confidence, sharpens the serve, tightens the margins, then arrives in Miami with belief and unfinished business. That's how careers explode. We've seen it with other young stars. One semifinal leads to a final. One final leads to a title. And suddenly, they're not rising anymore. They've arrived. Right now, Alexandra Eala is on the edge of that transformation. Her ranking history already reads like a movie script. 1180 in 2020, 0.5 in 2021, 21.4 in 2022, 0.189 in 2023, 0.143 in 2024, 50 in 2025, 0.31 in 2026. The trajectory isn't flattening. It's accelerating. And if she keeps stacking wins at WTA 1000 events, the math alone pushes her higher. But here's my honest take as a tennis fan. The ranking is impressive. The stats are strong. The Miami run was iconic. Yet the moment she lifts her first WTA title, everything changes. The narrative shifts from promising to proven. The pressure shifts from can she to how many. And the confidence inside her own mind likely unlocks another level. That first title is the missing piece, and I don't think it's far away. So as Indian Wells approaches, don't just watch her matches casually. Watch her body language between points. Watch how she handles big moments at 30 all. Watch her serve under pressure, because those tiny details will tell us whether this is just a strong season or the beginning of a superstar era. Tennis moves fast. 1 month you're climbing. The next month you're defending points. The margins are brutal. But Alexandra Eala has already beaten the hardest odds. She climbed from obscurity to relevance, from outside the top 1,000 to knocking on the top 30 door, and she did it with fearless shot-making and quiet belief. Indian Wells is her next test, not just of skill, but of expectation, and something tells me she's ready. RedDust Report will be watching every serve, every rally, every turning point, because when a star is rising this fast, you don't blink. You witness it.